Hello, my name is Patrick Maloney, and this is my plant science garden bed from 2023. This is an image from August 30th, 2023, roughly 2 weeks after the semester began. Sprouts from my plants had just begun to appear. For my garden bed, I planted a total of 7 plants, 3 from seed and 4 direct transplants. Here's a photo of my garden design. I designed my garden to be as full as possible, but equally aesthetically pleasing while still producing vegetables that pair well with one another. For amendments, we began by building our beds. As you can see, the sides are sloped, ensuring good water runoff and lessening the chances of water buildup. We made sure not to compact the beds, as that would make it harder for the plants to grow. Dean Harrell's soil science class amended our garden beds prior to planting. They added compost for us, which promotes microbial activity and can help with water infiltration. They added magnesium, which aids in photosynthesis and the uptake of many essential nutrients. They also added gypsum, which gave the plants calcium and sulfur, which along with the magnesium are very helpful to plant growth. Other amendments. Soil science also added a fish-based fertilizer increasing the nitrogen and phosphorus, along with potash, which increased the potassium. This makes up NPK, or the 3 most essential nutrients for plant growth. Nitrogen aids plants' leaf growth and greenness. Phosphorus helps the roots grow hardy and strong, and potassium helps prevent disease and promote vigorous growth. I added compost tea to my garden periodically throughout the semester to help continue the promotion of microbial activity and soil health. What I planted. I planted hybrid turnip. My turnips were dicots planted about 1/2 inch deep and 2 inches apart. They grew wonderfully and ended up being one of my most bountiful vegetables. I then planted spinach. My spinach were dicots as well. I planted them about 1/4 inch deep and 3 inches apart. My spinach also thrived. They didn't really kick off until a little after everything else, but had a nice deep green color. Next, I planted Chinese cabbage. My Chinese cabbage was also a dicot. They were direct transplants planted roughly 3 inches apart. They grew well, but took a little longer than the rest of my garden to develop, but ultimately ended up thriving. I then planted radishes. My radishes were dicots grown from seed. I planted them about 1/2 inch deep and 1 inch apart, with about 5 seeds per hole. My radishes were easily the most successful vegetable I grew. They sprouted within the first week and produced so many delicious radishes. The plant health throughout the semester was nearly perfect. My next plant was cauliflower. My cauliflower plant was a dicot. I transplanted these plants about 2 inches apart. This was probably the least exciting plant in my garden. It was riddled with little green worms known as loopers, and I did not end up harvesting any as the plant takes too long to fully develop. I then planted bok choy. My bok choy was a dicot as well. I direct transplanted the bok choy plants about 3 inches apart and they grew wonderfully. They had a gorgeous bright purple color as they were the purple lady variety. This plant really made my garden pop. Finally, I planted kale. My kale was a dicot as well. I direct transplanted the kale about 3 inches apart and it did amazing. Although it suffered from the loopers, my kale plants grew enormous leaves which were a nice tone of green within the garden and delicious cooked as kale chips. Pests and weeds. I primarily dealt with any weeds through hand weeding. There was a lot of purslane and mustard grass that were tricky to differentiate from the seedlings, but easy enough to eradicate. Luckily, no field bindweed attempted to take over. The only pest I really encountered besides grasshoppers who didn't cause me any issues were the green loopers. They really enjoyed eating my kale and cauliflower leaves. To eradicate them, I would remove and kill them, prune any leaves in which appeared to be damaged or had signs of their larvae, and Chad sprayed the plants with Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a bacteria that critters such as cabbage loopers consume and feel too full to eat anymore. Another effective eradication method is neem oil, soap, and water combined in our veggies. All in all, I feel my garden was a success and a project in which I won't forget. I really enjoyed watching my plants grow and getting to harvest different veggies as time went on. I feel my most successful plant was the radishes, with the spinach at a close second. The total amount of food harvested from such a small garden space was amazing to see, and really an eye-opener as to how effective space management can be. It was definitely a project I would do again within a class I really enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Here's a before, during, and after picture of my garden. Well, not really an after. This is an end. I hadn't harvested anything yet. But, yes. Thanks for watching.